Oh my goodness, this weekend was so intense that we're doing the Monday morning recap on Tuesday. We needed an extra day to recover, gather our thoughts and all the emotions from the ELF semifinals this weekend. I am here with my co-host coming out of the United Kingdom, Matt Bressington. We have a couple great interviews for you guys today. We're going to talk about the semifinals, and we got some great interviews with some of the best players in the league. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, Matt, what's going on, man? How you feeling after that semifinal weekend?
It's a big question. I'm feeling a little exhausted, but also like really anticipating the final because I think this is probably, some would argue, the best available final we had out of those four teams that we had in semis. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, this is gonna be an awesome final that we've got in 2 weeks here. So we got 2 weeks of coverage and preparation for both of these squads. AKA Jones is in the chat. What's going on? We are live on YouTube and Twitch, not on Instagram today, just YouTube and Twitch. So you guys feel free when we do our interviews with some of these players. If you have any questions or anything you want us to ask them, throw them in the chat. And also, I just got information that I was incorrect. We are live on Instagram as well. All three platforms. I'll pull up the Instagram right now so we can get you guys on there. But let's get into it. Semifinal weekend. Maxie, can you throw up the bracket that we've got? And then there were two. The Paris Musketeers and the Vienna Vikings. Vienna moves on. Stuttgart Surge and the Rhein Fire. Rhein Fire moves on. We're going to go in a little bit more depth on some of these games, give our analysis, what we think went right, went wrong. But first, we do have an exclusive ELF interview of a semifinal winning quarterback, former MVP of the league, Jadrian Clark, interviewed by his teammate, one of the best defensive backs in this league, Marlo Franklin. Maxie, you throw up the interview that we got.
Down 10 late after so many games throughout the season early on, losing to Madrid, starting off slow at Berlin and Paris. I think we were just battle tested, and that allowed us to stick together as one family and found a way.
When you mentioned battle tested, Mr. Jadrian, just take us through like some of the ups and downs. Just talk to us about that resilience that we got, man.
But when you play the best in Europe, it's not going to be a blowout, right? You know it's going to be 4 quarters of football, and you just got to keep going and keep believing. And we are a 4-quarter football team, and it takes every single member of this team, the kicker, to Amari getting a key interception, to backup running back coming in when Glenn's cramping up. I mean, it took every single member of this team and staff, and it was an unbelievable win.
And last question for you tonight, man. I know you got to take off and celebrate with your family.
Yeah.
Just tell us about the two types of people in the world. What type of people are there? 1 or 2 people?
There's Chihuahuas and there's Dobermans. You know what I mean? Some people talk about it and some people are about it, baby. Let's go.
And you have it here first. Report live, Marlo TV.
There we go.
Semi motherfucking finals, cuz.
There we go. Marlo TV interviewing the winning quarterback, Jadrian Clark, right there. Jadrian Clark, European veteran, very impressive on and off the field. But I was also impressed with the interview skills right there of Marlo. Defensive guys just don't get enough love. And I think that we've got to bring one of them on here today. And we have got the man himself, defensive back of the Rhein Fire, Marloshawn Franklin, joining the show. What is going on, Marlo?
Yes, sir. What's going on? How y'all doing?
Doing great, man. You've got to be feeling pretty good after the win this weekend, huh?
Not bad. Crazy semifinal game. Definitely was like an ELF classic. I'm not too familiar with how all the playoffs and stuff have went in the past, but if you was there, if you was watching, I think it was something to do. It was something to be.
Yeah, it absolutely was here. So we're gonna shoot some questions at you, bro. Talk to you about kind of the semifinals, and then also looking forward to the finals against Vienna in about 12 days or so here. And guys in the chat, if you've got any questions for Marlo, put them in there, and we will ask them. Starting off, man, just of the game this last weekend against Stuttgart, it was a big come from behind win for you guys on Sunday. It was a muddy game. Rainy, wet, gritty, went to overtime, came down to the last minute. And we were talking before going live. Actually, you guys did not lead the game at all until you won at the end. Talk to me just a little bit about the emotions of that game and just your general feelings of going through a game like that and making it to the finals.
It was a cool game. Just being a part of it, it was unlike any other games that, my 6 or 7 games around Fire has been. But definitely a classic football game when you think about it. Surge came out to play on all phases of the ball. Definitely shouts out to them. It was a ball game. I mean, from the very beginning to the very end, overtime. I'm not sure if the last semifinal, the Paris game didn't go into overtime. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, going into overtime, going to the wire, a lot of really like a heavyweight match. You know what I'm saying? So it was a cool game to be a part of, and I'm happy that we came out victorious. I'm able to talk to y'all today about it instead of not talking to y'all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you're feeling really good. And Matt, we'll have a question for you here in 1 second. I wanted to just ask you, staying on that. I mean, you're a defensive guy, obviously preparing for the Stuttgart Surge offense. When you guys were preparing and going into this game, what were kind of your keys? What were your coaching points of what you guys wanted to shut down on Stuttgart and players that you were really keying on?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cliche, but a lot of what we do is to focus like on ourselves, our attention to detail, and you get in these moments and you like, man, please give us something else. But truly, honestly, just kind of focusing on what we can control and, fundamentals. That's something that, Coach Jim, Coach Kent, they make a big emphasis on. But as far as offense, they got a talented quarterback. They got a talented receiver core. I think that this might have been the best receiving core that I faced since I've been in Europe with number 8, number 7, number 14. Them guys do some really cool things on offense, but I think collectively just kind of focusing on, our defense and, really just kind of etching out some of the things. It's always good to stop the run in any football game. But they did a great job all around, and I think definitely salute to our front 7 and our guys in the secondaries. Definitely a collective win.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that was a crazy one, a great battle. Matt, you got something for Marlo?
For sure. So we talked a little bit about the weather, about the rain, and how that's quite a big factor in it. And then how much they threw the ball in game. Were you kind of aware of how much they were throwing the ball and a little bit like present of maybe playing a little bit more off to try and jump some of these routes?
No,
Or
not at all. Like when you in it, man, and the weather conditions get to playing, like you so focused on just the game itself, and the weather kind of just like a bonus. If it was 100 degrees outside, it would have been no different than if it was raining, kind of how it was. So as far as that, just conditions, we all been playing football. We all professionals. So just making sure that you just on top of your game and you're not letting that type of conditions like get to you. I think I mentioned to you before, like every time we was in field goal range, every time we was kicking the ball, I'm like, the wind picking up. Like whenever they get ready to kick a field goal or, punt the ball, I don't see the rain coming down. So it was kind of like cool just to see like the nuances, but the conditions definitely, it made the game more interesting. I feel like it made people focus more. I think it made just the element of the game, like the suspense. We're talking about the semifinals, the game before the championship, right? The number 1 defense versus the number 2 defense, or the top 3 offense versus the, we all kind of like one or 3 in the offense's ranking. So you're talking about heavy hitters, right? So with the element and the conditions, it just made the game more fun. I feel like a little kid playing pick 'em up, mess 'em up in the backyard out there a little bit.
Yeah. That's the thing. When a game gets rainy and muddy like that, it just gets gritty.
Yeah.
It gets old school. It goes back to when you're playing football as a little kid. Not everything works. You got to just figure it out. And those games are sometimes the most fun.
It was like one of them scenes from like Remember the Titans. Y'all know the football movie?
Oh, yeah.
Titans? I'm like, bro, we really playing like a video game right now. We in a movie or something.
It was very cinematic. It was a cinematic football game.
Yeah.
Marlo, what do you think, like when it comes down to it, when you look at the game in the full picture, what ended up being the difference for you guys? What was it that made you guys be able to come out on top? Because that was kind of a back and forth game, really could have gone either way. But what do you feel was the final difference maker or the big difference maker for you guys?
I don't know. This is the first time I actually thought about that. Because when you think about it, I feel like going into overtime, I think the swing of the game was like a possession away. So if it was a real difference in the game, I think it might have just been a possession. Because them guys were moving the ball pretty well. But definitely want to give credit to like all 3 phases of the ball on our side, from quarterback to receivers to O-line, D-line. You can't get those guys credit because, football definitely a team sport. So outside of that possession, I think like it was just like a heavyweight fight. Everybody was like one punch away from knocking each other out almost. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of feel better being on this side of the thing than on the other side of the thing, right? So I say just with possession, that'd be the biggest difference in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, you got something?
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw a little bit back, a little bit of a throwback. Obviously, you were with the Sea Devils in 2021, and then you had
Right.
a few years, and then between that, obviously, you came back to the Rhein Fire. How big of a difference was it facing these 21 offenses compared to the 24 offense? It's because it was a huge difference. You look at the
Right.
talent in the league, and it's night and day in only 3 years. So how
100%.
big of a shock was that?
Yeah, definitely, hats off to the league, the development of it from being 8 teams to now I think 17, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So just to expand the game of football, that the game that we all love, you guys broadcast about, we play, the fans enjoy it. So just seeing like the evolution of the ELF, I had like a firsthand experience, my time with being here in 21 to me going back over to Canada and playing to me kind of seeing the growth and people kind of taking my experience and asking me different questions about the ELF and my experience. So definitely a competition level and just quality of play. Maxie in the front office, Maxie always do a great job at media. When you think about the ELF, one thing that I kind of get complimented on is just like the media that you guys do such a great job at, and you kind of attract a lot of American players that are get interested because they see the clips, they see the highlights, they see, each team has their own, little teaser videos before and after the game. So I think just the eyes that the league has drawn on them and just the level of talent that, guys want to come over here and be imports and, come be away from their family for months at a time. So the league has definitely grown, and it's cool to be a part of. It's something that I take pride in. It's something that obviously kind of got me in a situation where I wanted to come back and return to play. So definitely.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Can
been
we get
awesome.
my Marlo TV graphic up? Can we just air that one time?
Yeah, can we get that? There we go. There we
Boom,
go.
boom, 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 boom.
And now you got to
Yeah.
get the branding, Marlo TV. And I don't know, Marlo, if you can see the chat. A bunch of people are writing Marlo TV.
got
Glenn just came in the chat. He said Marlo TV. Mace 2K,
Yeah.
Marlo TV. What's up? So we
What's
got
up?
the Marlo TV. And Marlo, we're gonna now. All right, that was looking at kind of the surge game, the semifinal, and now
Right.
we're gonna kind of look forward now to the final.
Before we
against the
look
Vienna
forward,
Vikings.
can I
Exactly.
bring in my special guest?
Absolutely.
I had to bring somebody with me. It's not a one-man thing. I got to bring some of the guys with me, too. Can I bring in my special guest one time?
Bring in your special guest.
Okay. I got to introduce him. I call him Mr. Third Down. Y'all might know him as something different. My main man, KJ, man.
What it is, y'all.
There we go. Welcome.
Talk about KJ because I'm more of a defensive player, so I want KJ to kind of shine some light on the offensive side of the ball, the special team side of the ball. Definitely a collective thing.
KJ, welcome to the show, man. Again, congrats on the big win. Actually, similar to what we were talking to Marlo about looking back, but coming from the offensive perspective, how was that semifinal game for you? Obviously, when the weather conditions get like that, it's a lot tougher for offense than it is defense. How did you guys kind of push through that? What was that like for you?
Oh man, really just holding each other accountable, making sure everyone was just locking in and not trying to be a hero. Everybody's just taking it one play at a time. Ball security first. It's so wet, especially as a receiver. I had to take my gloves off, but everything was just lock in, focus. And like I said, we just really took it one play at a time. Like, don't be a hero. Don't think we just got to score right now. Like, if it's 5 yards, take the 5. If it's 70, take 70. It's one of those things. Like, we just have to go out there, take it one play at a time for sure.
And just wondering, because you guys were down at halftime. So this is for
Right.
kind of both of you. I was in the Surge locker room at halftime, so I got to kind of hear the vibe and the sentiment in there. What was the halftime vibe like for you guys? What were your coaches saying? I mean, you're in a semifinal game, down 10. You guys haven't been in that position very often. Oftentimes, you guys are winning. So what was that like at halftime for you guys?
It was actually cooler than you think. We are a pretty resilient team. I'm a guy. My opinion is always biased because I came in, midway through the season, right? So my experience with these guys, I kind of had to earn my keep with the team, regardless of, what I've done in the past or, that's just something I take pride in as being like a great teammate. So coming on board, you guys welcome me, and I feel like just in that locker room, in that space, nobody was panicking. Nobody pointed the fingers. Everybody knew that this was going to be that type of game. When you look up, we down coming in the half, them guys playing great football. And we just kind of looked at ourselves, and it wasn't too much rah-rah going on, real even kill. it was probably a lot different than what you imagine. I honestly think so. Just sticking together. One too many words. Coaches let the players be players. I think that's one thing that I could have a testament as far as our staff. They kind of give us the game plan and they let us run with it. They don't really, sometimes coaches can be a little bit more overbearing. They kind of give us free reign to, be ourselves and make the plays that they know we can make. They brought us here for a reason. So with Coach Jim, Coach Kent, even Coach Andrew, them guys is pretty loose. They give us the play calls and they let us play ball.
Nah, for sure. He had everything on the head, literally.
Here we go. Perfect. Matt, you got something?
Yeah, so obviously Marloshawn came in a little bit way through the season, but he'd been in Europe before, he's experienced that. This is your first true delving into European cultures and whatnot. How was it transitioning from North America to coming to Europe as, Rhein Fire being a big team, of course, you're stepping into the shoes of a big franchise, but overall, how has that transition been for you?
Transitioning for me, like I said, I'm a down south boy from Florida, so me coming over here to Europe, it was just different catching a train. I've never caught a train ever in my life. And when I first got here in April, it was raining a lot, so I kind of was a little thrown off by that. It was a little cold. And obviously, it's a language barrier, so I'm on the train.
Sure.
Some people are talking not English, so I'm kind of just
you hearing all type of language.
I'm hearing all type of stuff going on. You feel me? So I'm just really to myself. I got my AirPods in, listening to music. But some people stop me when they hear me talk. They think I got an accent out here.
They know you from America.
Yeah. Off the dribble. So it's
they know you from America.
Yeah. So it's
that's
what's been going on. It's been fun though. I like it.
That first year in Germany or playing in Europe, man, it's a magical experience. There's so much to discover. It's such a new world. So it's awesome you getting to experience in that, man. All right. So you guys won the semifinals. That was your goal, of course. And now moving on to the championship, the finals. You guys are playing the Vienna Vikings, looking to go back-to-back, the first back-to-back champions in ELF history. That is possibly what could happen. Looking forward to the Vienna Vikings. How much work have you guys done on them before? What are just kind of your general thoughts? Marlo, from your perspective, their offense, and KJ, their defense. Both of these units have had a lot of success this year for the Vienna Vikings. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm excited. Anytime you get to play football, it's exciting, whether it's, a preseason game, a scrimmage, semifinal, wild card. So for me, it's just another game, honestly. I played enough football to kind of have a rhythm that I could get myself in. But I'm looking forward to it. I know they're a great team. They wouldn't be here if they wasn't. But as far as preparation-wise, watching film on them guys, kind of seeing them what they did in their last game. They got some playmakers, but I'm definitely excited to see what me and my guys do and how we could, showcase what this Rhein Fire football about. Like you mentioned, potential two-time champions that we could be, but just taking it one play at a time, one series at a time. And it's so funny that now I'm in the interview, I get to hear myself say all this cliche stuff. It's really that simple, though, honestly. When you get down to it and you in a dogfight game like we was, it really come down to alignment, assignment, technique. You know what I'm saying? Effort. But even hearing myself say this, I'm like, bro, I sound like people in the interview that I'm like, why you just keep saying the same thing? It's truly what that is, though.
It's tough. It's tough because a lot of the football stuff is you got to go back to the basics. Somebody in the chat says, Mace 2K, how are you going to stop Baby Gronk, a.k.a. Beer Bomber, Marlo? They're tight end. He had 3 touchdowns last game. He's kind of a matchup nightmare. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I got a defense, so it's not just Marlo versus everybody out there. So, I mean, we're going to play our game. I'm pretty confident. Coach Kent going to dial it up for us as usual. Actually, Coach Kent up for one of the coaches of the year. So, Coach Kent, you got my vote for coach of the year. But, yeah, it's not just me out there. I got, 10 other guys. I got coaching staff. We got the whole organization that's going to prepare us for this opportunity. So, ask him how you feel about going against us.
We will, for sure.
Maybe we should get him on air and ask him the question, how you feel about going against us.
We will. Matt, you got a question?
For sure. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of 2K's question. So 2K asked who was the best single player you had to cover this one, but I'm going to kind of expand a little bit. Me and you have talked about all-stars and whatnot. All-star receivers. We've got obviously McKnight's going to be in there too, but outside of your own team, people you've covered this season in the West and in the other conferences, who would you put up for that all-star conversation?
Ooh, I don't know, man. It's so funny because I get a lot of these questions, and even my time away from the ELF from 21 to now, I'm not all the way in tune with guys have done in the past. But as far as my 6 weeks of being here in the regular season, I think guys that kind of like caught my attention. I would say number 8 from Stuttgart. He was somebody that I liked his game. That was a matchup or a guy that I was looking forward to competing against. Let's see. I like the quarterback from Cologne. I like how he played.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his game. I think he definitely deserves the success and the attention that he's getting in the league right now. He's an exciting player, a dual threat guy. And if I had to give you one more player that I like kind of watching on offense, I don't know. I like our guys, bro. It's kind of hard to not mention my guys. Like watching Glenn do his thing, the type of, historic year that he having this year, and going against KJ at practice every day. It's kind of hard not to like my guys. Even a guy like Harlan. So I feel like I'm amongst the best players in the league on my own team. So I'm a little biased because at practice, we go at it. We definitely give each other a run for their money. And when I'm on the sideline, I'm not just drinking water. I'm out there like, damn, what type of move KJ about to do on these boys? I know he about to get it to him. Like, it's just exciting to watch your guys make plays. Even a guy like JC got, all respect in the league, reigning MVP from last season. So it's kind of hard to – I'm kind of blinded because I got real giants on my team. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of your guys, your guy Glenn is in the chat. He's roasting you. He says Marlo don't know anyone's name because you kept calling everybody number 8, number 12.
Yeah, come on, Glenn. I don't know these boys' name. I just show up and play football, man. I ain't trying to learn these boys' names for real. If you ain't on my team, I'm sorry for you because I'm only worried about us.
There we go. That's a good teammate. That's a good teammate right there. KJ, for you, kind of flip side, same question. I know it's difficult, but is there any defensive backs or defenders that you were impressed with going up against around the league?
You like these boys out here, KJ, bro?
Let me see. Man.
No one.
We talk about this every day at lunch, man. KJ not too
No one.
You impressed?
My guys are good. So yeah, my guys are good. No disrespect to the other teams, but I really don't. I don't go across someone like I'm lining up, be like, oh, this guy like is covering me. I might get excited if an American's covering me, then I feel like, okay, let's match up. You know what I'm saying? This man, I like to get groovy for real. I want to see if you living like that. But but other than that, like I don't really worry about that. My guys are good. I'll tell you that.
Any players on defense in the league you like that don't play DB?
That don't play DB?
Oh, he out there.
Yeah. Maybe that play something else?
Okay, 13 from Stuttgart this past.
You like 13?
He was hooping good.
Okay.
DN from Berlin.
Kyle Kitchens.
Yeah, he a problem if you just like don't put no attention. He could be a real problem.
He'll wreck the game.
Yeah.
If you let him.
Let me see. Who else?
What offensive player you like? You like anybody on offense?
Yeah, what other receiver in the league do you respect their game? Somebody not on the Rhein Fire. Somebody else in the league, you're like, all right, he's also a good receiver.
Okay. I like 8 from this past game, Stuttgart.
He can go.
He can go.
He can go.
I like
that's Daryl Stewart Jr. He played at Michigan State.
We're just going to call him number 8.
Number 8. You guys keep anonymous.
I mess with bro. Number 4 from Berlin, he explosive.
Aaron Jackson,
yeah, he explosive. I like him. He explosive. Who else? I'm trying to think who we playing again.
What about Glenn? What you think about Glenn game?
Wait, our Glenn?
Our Glenn. Like,
Glenn go who? What we talking about?
How about this? Who is somebody on the Rhein Fire? Because you guys got a lot of big names, a lot of guys that are going to be all-stars. Who's somebody on the Rhein Fire that you don't think gets enough credit? A player that maybe does a lot of great stuff, but kind of goes under the radar, not super flashy. Somebody who you like to give a little spotlight to.
I'm gonna let KJ go on offense, and I'm gonna go on defense.
Yeah. Perfect.
So I'm answering on offense.
You're answering on, and I'm gonna take special teams too. Special teams.
Okay, offense. Probably he got hurt, but Yasir, 78. Yasir does a lot of things in our offense that doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. He's doing a lot of things that does not show up on the stat sheet, but if you know football and watch football, he's causing havoc. He's making a lot of things happen that allows a player like me, Harlan, Glenn to do our thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I say it's here. My boy Sleaze, he a good sleeper.
Sleazy go
he
crazy.
does his job. I like my boy Sleaze. Sleaze does his job. We got a lot of my teammates. Got my boy Pat.
What about Brian Winter? Brian Winter, I'm a massive fan of Brian Winter. I think he's got crazy high potential, and obviously he kind of plays in the slot whereabouts you've been. So how's Brian Winter? I know he got injured a little bit during the season, but he's a serious baller. He actually has D1 offer as well, so he's a serious guy. What do you think about him?
Lil B?
Yeah, he's talking about Lil B. That's my nephew, man.
Lil B, that's my little grandson.
Yeah, nephew.
Multi-generations. Nephew and grandson.
Yeah, man. Lil B. I'm excited for Lil B, man. His ceiling is real high. I enjoy playing with him because he always asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
He comes up to me and asks why I do certain moves. He doesn't want to just, do a move because it look cool. He's asking why I'm doing it. Trying to see how am I able to get through the defense and know how I'm able to just run after the catch like that, just knowing certain zones, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. He just want to know. He want to increase the knowledge of the game. So shout out to Lil B, man.
That's a good one. Hey guys, real quick, guys. We got a little bit of smoke in the chat. Alex Malchow, an ELF media guy, he says these guys don't look ready for Ben Holmes, the Vienna Vikings quarterback. What do you got to say to that? Are you sure you're taking some shots here in the chat?
We just here to get interviewed,
man.
We don't
want
no problems. We just want to play football, man.
Malchow's coming in hot with the comments.
I'm gonna get back to my interview question about the guys on our team. Guys, so I want to mention, I think number 31, Flamore, our wheel backer.
Yep.
I think he is probably the best linebacker in this league. And I'm biased because he's my teammate, but I know football and good football when I see it. And Flamore is a dog. Another person that show up big on the stat sheet, but also show up big when you watching film. He a silent assassin. Love football. He come to practice, ready to work, and he a funny guy. If you really know Flamore, Flamore is one of the funniest dude on our team, right? But I think he get overlooked a lot. I think what he does for our team, and he just I wouldn't even say a soft spoken because that's kind of undermining him, but definitely a guy that just show up and ball. He don't need much, low maintenance, and he come to work. When you cut that film on, you're gonna see him working. That's one of my favorite players on our team, for sure. For sure. Special teams wise, you can't overlook Sebastian, our kicker.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody talking about high-power offense, Rhein fire, high-power defense. You can't overlook what he did for our team in this semifinal. With the weather conditions, just think about if we missed right hash. Just think about if he missed one of those kicks in the game. We don't have a chance.
Yeah, he made three field goals, and the surge kicker missed a PAT, and so that ended up being the difference.
Come on, Sebastian, 33 is the guy. I call him Mr. Gold Leg. Mr. Gold Leg for sure. We can't overlook what Sebastian does on that special teams side of the ball. Who else I mentioned on defense that I feel like is a sleeper?
Till Jansen had a great game in the semis. He got 2 picks.
Yeah, he won great.
But Till not a sleeper though. Till do that at practice. When I see Till do that, I'm like, thank you for showing up and showing the world who you is, Till.
Thank you.
Thank you for finally. I wouldn't say finally because he definitely had a great season before I came, and that's what I said. My opinion's so biased just because I've only been here such a short amount of time. But them routine plays that Till make, you know what I'm saying. So when I see guys like Till, Yannick, Tony Anderson, Amari, these are people that I'm in the secondary with. I see them boys working their craft every day. So when I see Till go out there and make 2 picks with the forced fumble, do have 3 takeaways in one game, in the biggest game of our season.
Yeah. So
you can't not highlight them guys. Them guys is the ones that keep the team going, that taught me the defense. You know what I'm saying? I'm out there getting play calls on the field for my first week or so, just kind of getting familiar. And them the guys that's brought me in and kind of, made my transition a lot easier.
Awesome. There we go, fellas. I'm glad you guys could highlight some of those guys. We got to let you go. We could talk to you all day, but we got to let you go now. So thank you so much for your time. Congrats on the semifinal win. Good luck in all the preparation in these next 2 weeks. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys play in the championship.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all time, man.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, fellas. We'll see you. Bye. There we have it. Alex and Malchow coming in with the smoke in the chat.
That's what Alex does, man.
I know. That's what Alex does. RT Blue says, I love the way they just ignored Alex's troll right there. That was good. They rolled with it. They just let it brush off and didn't bite. But there you go. All right. There we go. That was good stuff right there. Two dudes who are some of the best players of their position in the ELF. Matt, we got a couple minutes here before we jump into our next interview, who is coming from the Vienna Vikings, another fantastic player. But maybe we can go back here and let's talk a little bit, just our thoughts on that Stuttgart Surge versus Rhein semifinal. What are your thoughts on it?
It was such a weird game. Like we talked about, they weren't winning for any of it until the final whistle blew. But I actually thought they did a decent job, and I say this with quotation marks, of stopping Glenn, because Glenn only had 136 yards on the ground, but he did fumble a couple of times, which is something we had not seen from Glenn pretty much all season. So I thought that was a big part of it. I thought they did a good job of slowing it down. A lot of flags on the Rhein offensive line and for false starts and holding and whatnot, that sent them back and forced them to pass the ball, which in those weather conditions is not easy, but I think Jadrian did a good job putting it together, especially at the end. But the defenses, were number 1 and number 2 of coming into the year. I know we talked about that with Marlo, but it really did show. It was very evident this is the number 1, this is the number 2. Chad Warren with the pick 6 was outstanding. We had Till Janssen with an absolutely incredible game, one of the best games for a DB we've probably seen this season. Marloshawn played well, of course. Like Camilla Lumba at the defensive line of the Surge was fantastic. This was an all-star performance. I know Sven in the pregame said this is basically the de facto championship, and it felt like that. It felt the stakes were very high. There's tense. It was pressure. It was never fully guaranteed. I know the Surge had a bit of a lead, but it always felt like Rhein were in the game, especially with the score just before halves, with the big plays they were making, and it was extremely competitive, extremely exciting, and one of the all-time games.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, an instant ELF classic right there. And then in the second half, when it got so rainy and stormy and bad weather, I mean, it was like kind of miserable out there on the sideline. My camera broke, but you got to make some sacrifices for the ELF. But it was very cinematic. It was just kind of iconic there. But you're right. Even when the Surge had the lead, it was still, it was a 10-point ball game, a 2-score game, but it still felt very, very tense and tight right there. There were tons of Rhein fans there at the stadium that traveled. And then just the fact that they were able to kind of push through at the end there. And we do that kicker, Sebastian Van Santen. I mean, those 3 field goals and those conditions were absolutely horrible. And that ended up making all the difference. Like I said to the guys in the interview, Surge kicker Lenny Creek, he ended up missing a PAT. And that ended up being, teams go to overtime. A 1-point difference would have made it all different. I mean, just speaking from the kind of the Surge point of view, because, I was there with those guys in the locker room. I'm really close to a lot of those guys. This was obviously a major heartbreaking loss for the Surge, especially considering kind of in moments there, it felt like they had it and things kind of just slipped away. Got to give a shout out to the Surge O-line. They did a good job protecting Riley for the most part. He wasn't sacked. And even after the game, I was talking to Riley and Alessandro Vergani. And Riley was just giving him a hug and thanking him. Hey, thank you guys. You protected me so well. I appreciate you. I mean, obviously a lot of emotions for everyone at that time. And one more point that I do have to make is the assistant coaches of the year did come out, and the Surge defensive coaches, the co-defensive coordinators, Cody Pastorino and Johnny Brenner, were not nominated. Congrats to all the coaches that were nominated. But I do just got to point out that these guys, this defense absolutely obliterated the league when it came to turnovers. They were plus 26 in turnover margin. The next best team was plus 11. They had 29 interceptions. The next best team had 19. So I just got to give a little shout out there and spotlight to those coaches in that defense. But yeah, man, this one, just an instant classic. And Jadrian and the Rhein Fire, they found a way to get it done when it mattered there at the ends, man.
What a game. It was incredible. Yeah. I think a lot of people have talked about the run as well, the end of the game with them choosing to pass the ball. I think we've seen a lot of critique on that, but the people like Alessandro got hurt. I think people are overlooking that. Alessandro, as me and you are both massive fans of him, he's one of the best linemen in the league, full stop. So when he came out, that affected the run game. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of overlooking is why they stopped running. It's because they didn't have their best line, arguably their best lineman leading the way for them. So they forced a pass. Ultimately, it got intercepted by Amari, who is one of the best safeties in the league. Championship winner 2 times, potentially 3 after this game. And it was a lot of blame put on people, but it was still a fantastic game. And overall, I thought Riley did play pretty well in the earlier parts. Of course, the rain played a factor. It's always going to play a factor in the passing game. But I thought that the Surge absolutely showed some of the best football that has made them one of the most entertaining teams. From one of the worst teams in the league to one of the best in the course of only a couple of seasons is rather incredible. And every single one of those players should be extremely proud. And I said about it at the end of the last game that we really got to take in the magnitude. We're not going to see these players for a little while, and we got to appreciate them while they're here because we love these guys. These guys are what make European football so fantastic. And just want to shout out to every single player that we've played this season and look forward to seeing them again.
Absolutely, man. And then just going back, I mean, you touched on it, the turnovers there at the end. I know from talking to the guys on one of the interceptions there, I think this one right here that we're seeing with Omari, it was a miscommunication between Riley and Daryl. I guess Riley had checked it to a slant. Daryl didn't get the check, and so Riley threw the slant. Daryl was running the go. And then obviously it just turned into kind of a disaster for the Surge right there. But man, I mean, you do got to give the props to the Rhein Fire, especially for coming from behind. This is a team that hasn't really been in that position before. And so kind of just keeping calm and sticking with it and then coming down there and making that field goal with I think 20 seconds left. I mean, those weather conditions are not to be overlooked. It was absolutely atrocious. And Sebastian making all of those field goals and them taking the points when they were able to. And then here we see on the highlights, the final play for the touchdown, just the sneaking out kind of from the little tight end position right there. And it looks like Surge defender just missed him. And, Andrew Weidinger, one of the great offensive minds in this league. And I talked to him after the game. Actually, he's a really, really awesome guy. I mean, and obviously does such great things there with the Rhein Fire offense. And he was talking about how it was tough for the Surge after they let it kind of slip away in certain points there at the end. So, but we got to say, great season for the Surge. And Coach Newman, he said it kind of at the end there with his final speech. We're that close. We're that close. This is the team, obviously, that made it to the finals last year, played the Rhein Fire, played them again this year, this time in the semis, and we're even closer to kind of getting over that hump. But right now, it's still the Rhein Fire's league, and so it'll be interesting, and we'll talk about it in a couple minutes here to see them against the Vienna Vikings next week. So, Maxie, I want to put up the graphic of the rings I think you wanted to do, because obviously with these two teams, one of these teams is going to become the first ELF team to win 2 championships. You see 2 beautiful rings right there. Rhein Fire obviously winning last year in 2023, Vienna Vikings the year before. So one of these teams is going to make some history in 2 weeks and become the first squad to win 2 times. So we will see. But with that being said, it's time for our second interview. Coming from the Vienna Vikings, one of the best wide receivers in this league. He's been all over, played for a bunch of different teams. He's back now in Vienna, having a fantastic season playing with Ben Holmes. We've got the man himself, Reese Horn, on the show. There we go. Reese, what's up, man? How you doing?
Guys? I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Feeling pretty good. I'm excited for the game. I'm very excited.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, we'll talk about that championship game coming up here, but we just want to kind of recap this past weekend, the semifinals against Paris. But before we get into all of that, I do want to kind of touch on your football journey? Because you've had a crazy, very interesting football journey. So if I have this correct, obviously you finished at University of Indianapolis, then you had stint at the Tennessee Titans, then you came over to Europe, few years, like 2016, I think, your first touch of European football with the Milano Seamen, and then you had a stint with the Vienna Vikings after that. Then back in the States with, the AAF in Memphis, Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Vipers, played a little spring league, back to the NFL with the Bengals, CFL as well, and then last making your back to Europe with Frankfurt, and now finally back in Vienna with the Vikings. So just having had all of that experience with all these different teams and organizations, I mean, we talk a lot about the Vienna Vikings as being one of the best organizations in Europe. You got a great culture, a great thing going on there. Can you just talk a little bit with the perspective of you having played for so many different teams? What does the Vienna Vikings, what does this organization do so well? Why is it consistently one of the best in Europe?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay, first of all?
Yep.
Yeah,
good?
can hear you.
Okay,
Yep.
Good. Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on today. Excited to be here, first of all. So appreciate you guys taking the time. But yeah, it's exciting to be back here in Vienna. Obviously, like you guys said, I was back there in 2018. And it's amazing to see familiar faces, some new faces brought to the table. But I think, and I tell everybody that I talk to about, American football here in Europe and specifically here in Vienna, that they just do such a great job of organization, of leadership, of professionalism as well, especially coming from the States and the teams that I've been with too. I'm a creature of habit. And I think if you talk to anybody, I'm a big routine guy at the end of the day. And I love the routine that the Vikings present from such an early on to now. They do a really good job of getting their athletes ready and, just putting them in the best position to do well too. So that's something I really have noticed, and it's just only going to grow and get better. And that's something that I personally love to be a part of as well. So, yep.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, they do a great job. Coach Kalaikai has been there forever. And so that's just, one of the top tier organizations. So kind of looking back here to the semifinals, you guys, it was a packed out house at Generali Arena. I think you guys set the franchise record for attendance. Beautiful sunny day, a lot of fanfare around the game. Can you just talk a little bit about that game and the experience of playing in that this past weekend?
Yeah, it was Generali Arena. Shout out to everybody in Vienna, man. It was such an electric atmosphere. I think it was right around 11,000, but it sounded like 30,000, upwards of, even more than that. But it was just such a fun day. Like you said, great atmosphere, great weather, which obviously plays a key part. Obviously, we saw Rhein fire surge. That was the rainbow there. But, just such a good day overall. We knew we were going to get Paris's best. They're such a great team, so well coached. I know a handful of those guys personally. I used, for example, Kevin Wamba, their tight end, played with him in Frankfurt last year. He's my guy. And Anthony Mahangu, number 11, their receiver, obviously. But, just so proud of my teammates, so proud of the guys that came. That was Paris is a well-balanced breakfast over there, so you got to come correct every time. It's playoff football as well. So, it's not like you lose and get another game. It's either you win or you go home. So, again, proud of my guys, 1-0 each week, as we say, and we're ready to keep it rolling too. So,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Paris really fought there to the last few minutes, and they made it a one-score game, with, I can't remember, 7 or 8 minutes left to go. So, that was still, a good battle kind of up until the end there. Matt, you got a question?
Yes, you mentioned the Galaxy a little bit, and I was going to take a little bit to the past. So you came into this season without a team at the start. You weren't signed to. Did that get you really fired up, ready for this year to prove a few people wrong? Or because 17 teams, all of them except for Milan, came in with an American receiver. So if some of these teams had you outside the top 17, did that get you a little bit ready to prove them wrong?
Of course, yeah. But it really just to prove myself right. It is what it is. I've been kind of overlooked a decent amount my whole career. I was a late bloomer, like I like to tell a lot of people, but that's totally fine. It is what it is, and you gotta take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves, and you got to be ready to. That's what I tell a lot of guys, that I train with, that I train, whoever. It's it's not about one door closing; it's about another one opening too. And when that moment comes, you better damn well seize it. So that's what I did. I told Chris when he gave me a call back, earlier this season, I'm not here just for a few games. I'm here to take this over and help this team win any way that I can. And he understood that, and we both had a great conversation. And any way I can help my team win each and every week, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm really just being present where my feet are. And again, love Vienna, love this team, and I'm excited to take this all the way.
Absolutely, man. I mean, we're very glad that you are back in the league this year.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you make the league better. I'm sure the Vienna Vikings are happy to have you as well. Talking about your quarterback, obviously wide receiver quarterback relationship, very, very important. Ben Holmes, first year in Europe, first year in the league. Yeah, that's what I want to ask you kind of about him as a quarterback, your relationship with him. I did a podcast with him before the season started. I was really, really impressed with kind of the way he carried himself, what he had to say, and his journey as well. I mean, he's had a very interesting football journey, similar to yourself. Talk to me a little bit about him as a player and your wide receiver quarterback connection, but also as a person.
Yeah, Ben, he's a phenomenal athlete and a better guy off the field too. He's somebody, again, I came in late. I was kind of late to this whole party, but Ben, from the moment I stepped foot down in Vienna, he really did a great job of one, being a professional, but also just being a great guy too. And I don't want to undermine that on what a great person Ben is too. He did a great job for me as, football related, breaking down the offense, making it very easy for me to learn it, and getting me caught up to speed very quickly. And then, if for whatever reason me and Ben aren't on the same page, we immediately get back on the same page. And there's never any finger pointing, which is so great. We have a phenomenal relationship. And I just think Ben is easily one of the best quarterbacks in this whole league. He's got such a great arm. And as he displayed last game too, he can do some great things with his legs as well. And again, very humble guy, very, very professional guy. He goes about his business, and he's the first one in. He's the last one to leave. And again, just such an honor to be his teammate and his brother, and catching the passes that he's throwing, because he's throwing it all over the field. So it's awesome to get to run and catch for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was throwing it all over. It was an air show, but like you said, we talked coming into the game, kind of all of us ELF media people, about how Zach Edwards is such a dual threat. I mean, he was, top 5 or near it in the league in rushing. We never really talked about Ben as a guy running the ball, but I think he had 70 yards rushing, some key rushes, a touchdown, and he really did it both. So it was cool to see him kind of display that side of his game as well when it really mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you got something for Reese?
Yes, you said you were a bit of a late bloomer, right? And this is your third season in ELF, also your best season in the ELF. And obviously you're 31 now, but still somehow getting better, aging like fine wine. So what did you do in this season, even without the preseason of knowing where your team is, and then to have Ben Holmes get injured for part of the year? So a different quarterback, different different trajectory on the ball and stuff like that, whatnot. How was that affected your season, yet you still had the best season? So I just want to ask you how you did that, really.
Yeah, it's really just preparation. And I always tell people, it's what you're doing 3 months before a season starts. Then that's how you're going to perform week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And, I pride myself on, again, I'm a routine guy, and getting your body ready, whether that's conditioning, whether that's in the workout room, whether that's nutrition, sleep, hydration, all that plays such a big factor. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of good people around me. Again, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and have learned from a lot of great people there, both male and female, on just how to take care of your body as the years go on. When I was in Miami with the Dolphins a few years back, I learned from veterans myself. Kenny Stills was one of the main examples, stud receiver for a handful of years in the NFL. He did such a great job with kind of taking me under his wing and just showing me, hey, Reese, as you stack years on your football career, here's are some things that you can do to help, gain an edge. And you might be this age, but you might be feeling a few years, younger, which is obviously the goal too. So again, any way I can help instill that into some of my teammates as well, that's what I'm all about too. So again, it's just being where you are, taking care of your body. And again, I'm here for a reason, and that's to help put the best product on the field and put my best foot forward for Vienna Vikings, as always.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been really, really cool to see you just continually playing at a high level and a higher and higher level, even as you get into the 30s. Welcome to the 30s, man.
The dirty 30s.
Awesome. The dirty 30s. Reese Horn is doing it well, man. So,
thank you.
Before we talk a little bit about the championship game, because obviously we got to talk about the Rhein Fire and everything. We did. We just asked our previous guest kind of the same question. They kind of danced around, didn't really want to answer it, but. Who are some other wide receivers in this league that you are impressed with on different teams, whether you guys played against them or whether you've just seen them on film? And then also same question about defensive players, probably notably, or that more defensive backs that you have gone up against. So who are you impressed with in this league?
Yeah. First that comes to mind is Aaron Jackson from Berlin. Obviously Jake Sullivan was his quarterback, and those two were lighting it up. And it seemed like, again, I wasn't here week one, but it seemed like me and Aaron every week were going back and forth to see who was going to be on top for receiving yards. But, I've had a couple of conversations with Aaron. He's such a great guy, and from just a few combos I've had. But again, a great dude, heck of an athlete, obviously, and I always want to see him do well. And then, for defensive backs, I would have to say, really just I played against Rhein a handful of times now, so I think that whole secondary does a good job. They're well coached, and obviously I know some guys on the surge as well, so I wanted to see them do well. And again, it was such a back and forth game with them. But yeah, obviously those two teams come to mind. Obviously Mitchell with Paris, he's such a great receiver and such a speedy guy as well. And he was making it rain this whole season too. So I had a nice conversation with him after the game, just introducing myself and telling him to stay healthy and what a great receiver he is as well.
That's awesome, man. Kind of getting a little veteran leadership to some of the newer guys in the league. We love that. Matt, you got something?
So 5 of the last 6 games, you've had over 100 yards, right? But the big one of the last game was that you got the ball. The Paris have just scored. Paris made it quite a tight game again. And all of a sudden, you're there with acres of space and no one around you for a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah.
When you saw yourself in that much room, what was going through the head when you're watching the ball come down? What were you thinking?
Yeah. It was first of all, shout out to Coach Max, ROC here in Vienna. Just did such a great job with dicing that play up. And me and 1-8 Noah, my guy right there. That's my youngster right there. He's just having a heck of a season, and it's so good to see him do his thing. We were in a stack formation, and just the routes we had. You gotta respect Noah on the outside, and I think you have to respect me as well in the slot. And then whoever's on the other side of the ball, you got to respect those two guys. But it's my route there, and that particular touchdown, that particular play was a read route, and I saw Paris' safety kind of go more towards the middle of the field, kind of roll coverage, and then it was game over after that. I just off to the races, and Ben threw it up, did a good job of seeing me and going through his progression and his reads, and then he just let it flew, and that it was a good kind of felt like moment. Time stopped for a second there when that ball was in the air. So, but again, shout out to Coach Max. Did such a great job with dicing that play up and putting us in a good position to do some good things. But yeah, it was a tight game. Paris doesn't go down at all, and they were making it a close game, and it was back and forth for a while. So, again, any way to help my team win and just create some good matchups, all for that.
Awesome. Can you talk to us a little bit about your teammate, Florian Bierbaumer? The tight end matchup nightmare. I mean, he had 99 yards, 3 touchdowns, and when you watch the tape, it's just like, how do you cover him? Tell us a little bit about this guy playing with him.
Yeah, big 8'9", man. That's the Bierbaumer right there. He is he's such, again, just like Ben, such a great guy off the field. I consider him one of my really good friends here in Vienna, and this is our first season really playing together, obviously. And man, is he a weapon? Obviously, his path is pretty impressive, going to the IPP program and getting coached up and doing great things with that. But just such a great dude. He's very calm, very collective, and no matter if things go his way, the ball's coming his way, the ball's not coming his way. He's always just such a we guy first, and he just does a great job with leading the guys and producing on the field too. So not only with his words, but with his actions too, as we saw this past game. So just such a great weapon for Ben. Obviously he's about 6'5" or 6'6", but he puts those hands up and he's about 6'9", 6'10". So, but again, does a great job in the run game, blocks his ass off, but then also he can run every route in the tree and catch the ball too. Not just, the deep ones or the quick outs, but over the middle as well, which is very impressive to see. And, I just keep telling him each and every week, it's like him catching the tennis ball, really. I'm like, bro, just go up and get a rebound too, like we're playing basketball. It's that his hands are massive. So, it's pretty impressive to see, and I'm glad he's on our team.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got just a slate of weapons of wide receivers and guys catch the ball, have different skill sets that really complement each other well. Matt, before we go to talk about the championship game, you got another question?
Yeah, so you just touched on the receiver core. If Jordan Buer went down during the season and got hurt, but Torre, and also I think Schultz goes massively under the radar for the impact that he had during the season. But what do you think about these young guys coming through? Because like Alex Malchow said in the chat, obviously you were in Milan in 2017, so you've been present in Europe for nearly a decade. Where do you think these guys in Vienna, particularly the younger athletes, because this is quite a young team, even on defense, got people like Swankor who are also young guys. How do these compare to the people you've seen in the present in terms of their ceiling and their potential in Europe?
Yeah, some of the best, honestly. Just to straight up answer your question. Noah, Yo-Yo, all these guys that are younger coming up. It's really impressive to see. And every practice I see it. I see them getting better. They're taking the coaching. They're taking the leadership from some veterans on the team here, and they're implementing it too. Come the scaly periods, the team periods, the game days, and it's really nice to see that. And I think Vienna does a great job again of coaching. It just goes back to their routine. It goes back to their coaching and putting their athletes in a really good position to do well on game day too. So it starts from the top and goes, starts from the bottom, goes all the way to the top, and vice versa. And if these guys, they keep taking it seriously and they keep doing, working their craft, it's going to be scary in a lot of great ways too. So I'm so proud of these guys. Again, seeing them evolve from when I first got here to now, it's really night and day. And I don't care if it's we're going routes on air to start practice. I always tell these guys, hey, let's work our craft. Don't just run 5 yards and then skip off the line and just catch football. Let's work press release. Let's work your toolbox. What are you going to do when that guy's pressing you in this championship game? You got to have X, Y, Z to bring to the table to help get yourself open and help make Ben's job very easy. So again, really proud of these guys. Excited to keep working with them these next 2 weeks, and really excited for what's to come.
Yeah, and what's to come is a very exciting championship game that everybody in the European football community is anxiously looking forward to. Super excited for that. I know you guys just started preparing probably a couple days ago, but preliminary thoughts on the Rhein Fire, your opponent that you're going to be playing. What did they do well? What it will be the keys for you guys offensively to be able to have success against a defense like that?
Yeah. First of all, I'll begin. It was not good weather conditions with them, and good football teams always find a way to win. And again, playoff football, you can't let good teams hang around because they come back and they end up winning. So it's you give them a chance to win, and they're so well coached over there with Coach Tom Sula, obviously, and they have some great guys on that side of the ball. So we got to establish the run first and foremost, and just do what we do. Obviously, that's the thing. Some people might be overlooking the Vienna Vikings at times, and that's fine. It is what it is. But at the same time, we know what we bring to the table. We know who we have in our locker room, and as long as we do what we do, and we drill in what we're coached and what we're told to do, it's going to be great. It's going to be a fun game. Obviously, it's going to go back and forth, but again, we know what we bring to the table and what we are capable of, and it's going to be an exciting one for sure.
I mean, what you said there is so true. And I talked to Coach Kalaikai about this in the preseason, is kind of putting a lot of focus on the German teams and oftentimes overlooking what's going on in Austria. And, you guys are going undefeated in the regular season, people, and, us included are guilty of this sometimes in ELF media, the Eastern Conference, how difficult is the schedule actually? But then you guys come out here in the semifinals and show what's up. So it's really, really cool to see. Matt, you got another question?
Yeah, I'm about to do a video project on Ben Straight. So I just wanted to see your opinion as someone who plays against him in practice every day, sees his craft. He's an all-star player, but I don't feel like people know what he's really good at. So I just wanted your opinion as someone who's seen him so often and what his skill set really brings to that team, because he's a homegrown, yet he's one of the better safeties in the league. And for that defense, which is one of the best defenses in the league, it elevates at such a high level.
Yeah, 2-3, my guy. Ben Straight, he is absolutely an all-star. So first and foremost on that. And he does such a great job. He's one of the best homegrowns Vienna has, and does a great job with his leadership, with really being a glue guy for that defensive secondary for the Vienna Vikings. And it's really nice to go against him, every day in practice. We talk back and forth. We jibber jabber, how football is with offensive, a receiver and a DB going at it. So it's all out of love, obviously. We make each other better. So, Ben is such a good dude. He's such a great guy off the field as well. Somebody who's very approachable, can have great conversations with too about life and also about football. But then, once he puts those pads on, puts that helmet on, he's a headhunter, and he'll make his presence felt and known. That's for sure too. He's not afraid to come down and smack you. And he's been doing that for a lot of years too. So I'm glad people are starting to more recognize his craft. And again, he's a guy as well that just doesn't really make excuses. He just produces, and I love that. And a teammate, I love to see that. He just comes ready to work every day, and he handles his business too. And again, makes others around him better. That's what's a good sign of a good leader right there, is not only making yourself better, but others around you better as well. And I think Ben does a phenomenal job at that.
Fantastic. Damn, Reese, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us on the show today. It was an awesome interview. Really appreciate your
Yep.
time, your insights, and everything. And honestly, man, what you're doing, for the Vienna Vikings and around the league, you're just a great figure for this league, both on and off the field. Really appreciate you. Have fun. Enjoy these next couple of weeks
Yeah.
and the whole championship
sir.
game aura,
Yep.
man, and good luck.
Yeah, appreciate you, boys. Thanks for having me. All the best.
You
Go
bet.
Vikings.
Absolutely.
It's all right.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
See you, Reese.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. See ya.
Great guy, Reese Horn. Vienna Vikings, man, what an organization. Coach Laikai, and they always get just such great guys on that squad, both their imports and their homegrown. It's really impressive organization. Man, we're due for a treat for this championship game. We're due for a treat, man. Shall we real quickly? We're going a little long today, but let's touch on that semifinal game against Paris. The Vienna Vikings just played. Like we said, and we talked to with Reese, Generale Arena, I think had 11,000 fans there. It was popping. Great, beautiful, sunny day. Great game for ELF football. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
This was like you said, phenomenal game. But I feel like Vienna really shut us up because me and you, both of us, I mean, we went back in my chat about where I had them in the preseason rankings, and I had some jokes made at my expense because I had them at like 7th in the power rankings. Now they're in the final. However, we were also saying about Ben Holmes. He's not really going to pass much in the first quarter, we were thinking. And all of a sudden, he comes out throwing bombs downfield, pushing the envelope. So he looked phenomenal all game. He got 6 total touchdowns. Probably would be MVP of the week. He looks awesome. And people said that they switched playbooks because all of a sudden Ben Holmes is out here running 20 yards, 30-yard gains that me and you talked and highlighted that he isn't much of a running guy. I think he must have seen that, made the adjustment, because then he started taking off and looking great. They always kind of looked that one step ahead, right? They got a pretty decent lead. Paris came back, and all of a sudden, one play later, as we discussed with Reese, he's away for 6 more. So they looked pretty in control for the majority of it, and that's something that we doubted because I'm not so sure if they have the best strength of schedule. They've not played the best teams. And they did look really good. And we saw Beer Bomber, absolute savage, by the way, after he got that big touchdown, just talking. He's an absolute killer. So he was the big X factor. We'll be waiting to see him. Obviously, he had injuries during the season, so you haven't been able to see him his full potential. But it looks like he's really hitting stride at exactly the right time.
Oh, 100%, man. They really are. And Ben Holmes taken to the ground. This is crazy, man. This was a real air raid show. Both quarterbacks threw the ball 40 times. And I think the big difference there was Edwards ended up throwing 3 picks. Ben Holmes did not throw a pick. He really protected the ball there. And they went for 363 yards through the air for Edwards. Ben 385, and then another 70 on the ground with his touchdown. So, I mean, after watching this game, my notes are, Ben Holmes is legit. And I think we got Alex Malchow. He was on it early. He was on it in the preseason when he was first announced. He was on that Ben VP train, and I mean, he showed up. That was Ben VP this weekend. And I love his connection with Reese Horn, just, those deep balls and some of those plays that kind of break down, and 3rd and 15, and just clutch moments and making big plays. And these guys did a great job of that. But also kudos to Paris too. I know they didn't play their best game. They had a little bit of sloppiness here and there, but they still were staying in it and made it a 1-score game with 7 or 8 minutes left to go. So it was still, even though they were down by 3 scores at one point, 28-6, I think, right in the start of the 3rd quarter, they were still coming after it and still going. After watching one of these highlights, I think Austin Mitchell might be the fastest guy in the league, dude. On his long touchdown, where he kind of broke a tackle, he got spun around a little bit, lost all his momentum. A couple of Vienna Vikings DBs were running full speed at him, and he was able to still, after completely stopping his momentum, just take off again and go for, I think it ended up being like a 70-yard touchdown. So really impressed with him as well. But yeah, ultimately came down the Vienna Vikings a little bit more calmness at the quarterback position, I would say, protecting the football, and that ended up being a difference. But huge props to the Paris Musketeers. What do you think? Who else would you put in that category of fastest player in the league?
Well, of course, naturally, Dawson Dowse is in that conversation.
Sorry, yeah. Second fastest player in the league.
Yeah. So I think Matt Cole, when he's healthy, we saw just a few games of that NFL speed. You know what I mean? That corner speed was phenomenal. Aaron Jackson, is probably in there as well.
Yep.
And you think of like a European sleeper. I think I need to think of someone very quickly off the top of my head. Oh, who am I going to go for? That's a tough one. Chad. I'm going to go for Chad Walrand. He's probably one
that's
of the
good.
fastest Europeans. Hudson Canido, our director, said about it being in there. He's a very fast running back as well. So shout out to Hudson Canido. I think a lot of people also talked about the interceptions. Same with Riley and Zach. Both of them threw 3 picks, and that was a topic of discussion.
Yep.
But the run game, I think, was a lot more present with Paris. They were not able to get that started at all. Palumbo, we saw him limp off the field against the Ravens, and I don't want to speak on his behalf, but it looked like he was carrying some maybe some injuries coming into this game too, maybe not fully healed because he only got 28 yards on the ground. They only ran the ball with a running back 10 times in total. So
yeah,
they didn't have a ton to really go off of. And you could tell that like their offense, I don't want to say predictable, but they had to deal with what the cards they had. And that was that they had to go super aggressive on the pass and force the envelope downfield, which on Ben Straight, all pro, and on Weapon X, who a lot of people were talking about him being a really important factor on Austin Mitchell. He did a great job. And just the litany of great defensive talent on the Vienna Vikings is very present now that we've got a good sample size against a playoff team.
Absolutely, man. And I just think kind of this game in general, the whole environment, how it looked, the stadium, the style of play, real air raid. That's fun for fans to see, big, long touchdown passes. And so I think that was a great kind of advertisement for the league. Both of these semifinal games, and in 2 different ways. One, a beautiful sunny day. The other, a gritty, rainy day that went to overtime. So I think we got 2 very, very interesting games in the semifinals there. Rumors are circulating that perhaps Jordan Bua may suit up for the championship game. Got injured early in the year, broken collarbone, been rehabbing that. You're going to see maybe if Jordan Bua is in the conversation here. He's another guy who would be one of the fastest Europeans also, by the way. Yeah, we'll also put him in there. So this one ends. The Vienna Vikings are able to come away with the victory, 47-31. They punched their ticket to the championship game. So it's set after an awesome regular season. Some really exciting playoffs. And some great playoff games, especially when you look at like the wild card last week with Paris and Ravens, and then the overtime game with the Surge and the Rhein Fire. I mean, I think we're in for a treat here for the championship game. 2 fantastic teams, and it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. So there we have it. Our playoffs are set, everybody. Now, Matt, we've got to decide our nominee for MVP of the weekend. Maxie, do you have any graphics up here, Maxie, or are you just going to go off what we talk about right here? No graphics, sad face. That is from Maxie, our director. Well, I will just start it off. I know who I'm nominating for MVP here. Guys in the chat, you can throw in your thoughts, but I gotta put up Ben Holmes, Ben VP. I mean, 6 total touchdowns, 385 yards through the air, no picks. Clutch running the ball as well, 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown there. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. Ben VP is my Ben VP nominee of the week. Matt, who else can we put in there?
Obviously, Ben Holmes has got a lot of presence, but I do think that Till Jansen has a shot with this one. Ben, obviously, 6 touchdowns is incredible, but without Till Jansen, the Rhein Fire lose that game. I think we could be quite obvious with that. Couple picks, especially in overtime, massive. The forced fumble as well. So 3 turnovers, and all of them are on Till. He had an outstanding game. He was, like I said before, one of the best performances we've seen from a defensive back. I think it's very clearly him and Ben, right? That's the 2 people that really separate themselves. So I think most people are going to go between those 2. Ben's probably going to get a lot of votes, but I think Till Jansen 100%.
I know. I stamped that 100%. Those are the 2 MVP nominees for the weekend because of course to have 3 turnovers caused by one guy, that's absolutely incredible. That's great for a season for a player. You did it in one game, the most important game of the year on the road against a very, very good offense. Riley Hennessy does not get picked off that much. He got him twice. And then he also forced that fumble. So I think both of those guys are who we are going to nominate for MVP for the semifinal rounds. There you have it, guys. Whew, Matt, We got a lot of good stuff in the ELF right now. We got about 12 days until the championship game, guys. We will be there. We can't wait. Our next show is going to be on Saturday, not on Friday, and we will get you the exact time on social media here coming out in a little bit, but it's going to be on Saturday. Okay. Sorry. Excuse me. Not Thursday, Saturday. It's a bye week. We're going to be 1 week out from the championship game. So our next live show will be on Saturday, and we'll send you a reminder of that. Guys, everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. You make it fun. Thanks for your questions. And it's championship time now, Matt.
Oh, I'm fired up, man. I'm so ready. This is such a good game. Like, I know the semis were so good that a final can only really be the pinnacle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We will see you on Saturday. Have a great week. See you soon.
Ta-ra.